it is an unprecedented event seeing the current president drop out of the race this late. It's one that could shape American history. And joining us to go over this significance and how we can look at our past in the current election cycle is Casey Sullivan, history professor at Cal State East Bay. Welcome in, Casey. The U.S., not necessarily in uncharted territory. We've seen it here before, 1968, Lyndon Johnson, but different set of circumstances.
Yes, that's probably the most apt historical analogy. 1968, Johnson decided to withdraw from seeking a second term, but he did so very early. That was in March of 1968, so it's right at the beginning of the campaign season. He hadn't amassed a number of delegates. It's very different in this case because Joe Biden had essentially a lock on the nomination. It was just awaiting having that nomination confirmed at the convention. So that's the closest analogy, probably.
So we've seen vice presidents win the presidency before. Is this a trusted formula or one that's out of desperation for this election?
I don't think, well, I mean, it hasn't been a very good a few weeks for the Democrats. Vice presidents becoming president is not uncommon. Vice President Harris is the clear candidate right now, unless someone else emerges. And Biden, in withdrawing and endorsing Harris, is basically probably narrowed some of the possible options and given her a major advantage over any other challengers.
President Joe Biden said he will address the nation a little bit later this week. We expect him to take to the mic sometime between today and the middle of the week. What do you expect by way of process? When do you think the Democrats will coalesce around Kamala Harris, or say we're just going to have an open convention and see what happens right there on the floor?
Yeah, that's the big question. I mean, there are two real possibilities here. And again, Biden did sort of narrow these possibilities yesterday by withdrawing himself from the equation, but also endorsing Vice President Harris and giving her an advantage in seeking the nomination. So there's two options I see. One is that the delegates, Joe Biden's delegates, go over to Harris, probably with Biden's encouragement, and she could get enough delegates almost right away to become the presumptive nominee and then go to the convention as the presumptive nominee and then have that confirmed in a vote at the convention. Some Democrats are probably wary of this because it would be more of a case of winning the nomination by acclamation rather than a vote, right? Vice President Harris hasn't contested for any votes. She hasn't participated in any primaries. And some want to have or suggesting a mini primary process at the convention in which some people candidates can be put forward as potential nominees, and they can have at least a round or perhaps more of votes. And as long as this isn't divisive, it could actually help the party and give a bit of democratic legitimacy to whoever does get the nomination. And again, Harris, even in this scenario, would have probably an advantage because it's important to note here that whoever wins this nomination will be the first candidate of a major political party to win the nomination without running in any primary elections since 1968. So it's something rare in modern American politics.
I mean, historic times, fascinating times, and we are just, weeks away from the DNC. Thank you, Casey Sullivan, history professor at Cal State East Bay, for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.